Hey, I'm Cyclon, and today I wanted to share how me and my buddy, or my buddy and me, I guess my buddy and me, made about 60x at day 2, day 3, a bit rough in between there, like early day 3 I would say, and fully geared an Arakali Fang build with Arakali Fang and a Squire, and started farming simulacrums. Now the first part will be a bit explanation what we did, and the second part of the video will in detail go what the strategy included, the passive tree, what we run, how we run it, or how I run it, and then what the results were and how you could do that too with how the market currently is and what you can expect from it. If you're just interested in the second part, feel free to skip ahead to that. If not, you can stay and watch the first part too, of course. Also, while I'm at it, I would really appreciate if you could give a like to this video at the end if you enjoyed it. If not, of course you don't have to. And leave a comment at how your league start went, what you did, and how profitable it was. Okay, let's get into this. So, me and my buddy and me, we played together. I started a physical trapper and did the carry wall, while my buddy played a toxic rain build on a ranger. I think she went Raider Ascendancy, and then did just some simple mapping, a bit of heisting, a bit of delving, and a bit of trading, in the sense of selling the stuff that I accumulated, and then maybe do a bit of bulk trading. That being said, most of the profit at the end did came from the imitation farming. So, on day 1, our goal was get through the campaign and get as much map completion as possible, get 2 red tier maps, preferably of course T16s, and get this character running so he can run any boss. At the end of day 1, we had still a Tabula, a Gal, you can see that in my day 1 video, but we however did already have the cold iron points, but we were still running deerskin and resistance gloves. Also the amulet came after we did the invitation farming, so ignore the amulet and the cost of that amulet, that was not required. At the start of day 2, after I made the video, we pretty quickly got a lot of upgrades. We got a skin of the loyal, we got a series step, we got the gloves with trap support, we have gotten a helmet with seismic trap wave, and we've gotten the whole cluster shebang, I don't know. 1 large, 2 mediums. Now I did this to test something. I will have to spec back into that when I run more on this character. This build was pretty amazing. We did all the bosses, seismic trap got nerfed, so what you had to differentiate is, it used to be you throw the seismic trap on top of the boss and it just will hit the boss. But as you can see here, the middle is barely getting hit. So what we did instead was, okay, I'm going to throw them here and the boss is here, and now a lot more will hit the boss. And now suddenly seismic trap did a ton of damage again. I farmed Maven, I farmed Conqueror Invitations, I farmed the different bosses. I have to admit I did also boss carries, and I did fail a Maven and I did fail 1 Uber Elder save, which were under scuffed conditions, so that did happen too. But out of that, I've not failed a single Cyrus, I've not failed any other boss. It was pretty amazing, pretty lot of fun with the build. So we reached day 2, we got the Void Stones, we got the rest of the completion, we unlocked the favorite slots, I did Fear, I did everything except Forgotten and Hidden. Forgotten I did day 3, and Hidden I haven't done at all yet, just because I am scared of the hidden bosses. I did the Conquerors, I don't think the hidden are more crazy than those, but hidden was always annoying to do, and I'm just going to farm the Reach Stones myself. Once I have it, I do the hidden. That is, the hidden and Dunaris Machinarium are the last 2 things that I miss to get the whole completion of the Atlas done. And that puts us to day 3. Day 3, we had the currency, we acquired a Squire, we acquired Arakali Fang, the other uniques needed for the build, so we started leveling the Arakali Fang build, while I did more bossing services, more invitations farming, while they're still halfway profitable, the way I did them. And then at the end of day 3, we are now day 4. Day 4 yesterday, my buddy was able to start farming simulacrums. Pretty consistently actually. The early ones we were able to get to about wave, or she was able to get to about wave 23, 25. but towards the end of the day we got better. We fixed some issues with the build and we got to wave 28 and maybe even 29. I don't know, I was asleep at that point. But that was what we did early. Now the Mulacrums, I have not calculated anything into the profit, because the profit I'm talking about, the 60x to get the gear run and the build running, were simply from the invitation running and selling the stuff early and at a premium, because nobody else was selling it yet. Now let's take a look at the actual strategy. Let's take a look at what I did. I'm talking about Conqueror Invitation. So the Conqueror Invitation included, you run the Conquerors, you run the Invitation, you run a Cyrus, and every other run you get a Maven too. And I run it at a point where not a lot of other people were running it. So I was able to supply the market with Awakened Skill Gems, Maven Uniques, Cyrus Uniques, and that was a lot of profit very early on. Now if you would run it now, the way you would generate profit with the invitation would change slightly, and it would require a bit more lucky drops for consistently high profit, but it still is doable. For the tree, I opted at the start getting the +1 map tier drop, getting Harbinger and the extra rares here to get consistent map drops to progress. That was pretty neat, pretty nice. And then at the top I took the Conqueror map drops from normal map bosses and the Guardian map drops for an additional extra profit, which I guess added up a tiny bit but didn't add up too much of the add profit, because most of it came from Awakened Skill Gems and the uniques from Cyrus and Maven. Now I did also took Shrine for a moment, but it didn't feel that good. I took strong boxes, but they weren't required. They didn't ended up that much profit for me. Harbingers, in my experience, were better. I also took the cubic node here to get additional mission until I had my map completion done, but again, that is not required, and this is really just, the Harbingers are there for adding a little bit of extra pack to the map, a bit of tiny currency to sustain the map, and then the Conquerors and Shapers are there for actually running them. If you would look at my entry, I've also picked up Legion, I picked up Intelligence Gathering, I picked up that guy because I'm preparing to run maps too. Oh, and I of course picked up the whole Maven thing, which I've actually forgotten to add in this one, which is absolutely fatal. That one adds a ton. You get, the completion doesn't work for Maven herself, but while you run Conquerors, you also get normal Maven completion. So every 10 maps you were able to do a normal Maven, assuming the maps were in the same layout. Pay for play also gives you a chance for the Orb of Conflict to be doubled. I haven't got an Orb of Conflict drop, so I don't know what the actual base chance is. But the increased chance to awaken support gems, I've gotten a support gem almost every Maven, so that is definitely worth picking up. And Captive Interest is also worth picking up because it makes you able to run the invitation less scary and still get more splinters. Also, there are a ton of influenced items I've gotten from this that I was able to sell for 10 chaos in bulk, or some items for even more. It was really, really good. I will update this right away so I don't forget it. There's a new tree. So what actually got dropped? So we have from the Conquerors Dementophobia, Justified Ambition, Conqueror Exalted Orbs, and I guess a lot of influenced items. Dementophobia and Justified Ambition aren't worth a lot yet. At least when I found it, because Delirium Orbs weren't pricey, and Conqueror's Exalted Orbs dropped about 1 in 8 Conquerors, so like every other run you got 1 Conqueror Exalted Orb. I've gotten mostly Baron, but that is purely luck based. You could have gotten all Hunter too. I've also gotten a full set of the Cult Council, which gave me a Pharaoh's Fur, but that is so highly unlikely that I also only gotten after day 3, after we already got the Arakali Fang, that I didn't consider that in the profit of the 60x in at all. So the Conquerors, the Dementophobia will definitely be the way main of getting stable profit from the new Conquerors ones. You get about 1 to 2 per run. I've sometimes got a bit unlucky here, as you can see, but outside of that I got 1 to 2, I got 3 here, and you get them from the invitation too. So that is definitely awesome, and once the Delirium Orbs will rise in price to like 20 chaos. Dermatophobia will be at 30 chaos a diff card. So that means whenever you get a Dermatophobia drop, you pretty much just get the map back, which means you need less luck drops from Cyrus and Maven to make big profits there. Justified Ambition, I don't know if that will be any pricey soon, because there isn't that high demand for the synthesized maps anymore. But then again, if they get cheaper, the synthesized rings and bases and stuff will still be in demand, so that will be a profitable way. Maybe go that way then. And the Conqueror's Exalted Orbs will always be pricey, at least reasonably pricey. The Baron is quite cheap this league, if we take a look here. The Baron is only at 98, Redeemer is at 98, Hunter is at 150, and the Warlord is at 98 too. When I ran it, Baron was at 50. I luckily didn't sold any, but again, those are nice to drop. They definitely add up, but you only get 1 in 8, or with reasonable, with at least on average from what I've seen. The Cyrus himself. Now, he has only a tiny chance to drop Awakened Skill Gems. I've gotten that twice, so I have not said that is a consistent drop from him. However, he can still drop them if you take the node, which allows him for a 10% chance to drop. And he just dropped now the Awaken Orb, the Orb of Dominance. However, I have not seen a single Orb of Dominance, so I don't know the drop rate there, which makes me a bit scared. And what was really amazing on day 2, Crown of the Inward Eye and Thread of Hope. Now, the Awaken Orb was at 1.5x when I sold it, or pretty consistently. The Crown of the Inward Eye was on day 2 at 1x to 1.4x, which is pretty crazy considering how cheap it is in previous leagues once the league is a bit into it, once we bit into the league. With the whole Conqueror Invitation, instead of taking like 30 to 40 maps or 20 to 40 maps, it now just takes very easily 4 maps. Cyrus, I was able to generate so many Cyruses. 12 runs in 2 days is absolutely absurd, and it's so easy to do it. The Conquerors aren't even that hard compared to Shaper and Elder Guardians. They are pretty well visible on what they are doing. You can easily dodge them, except the Hunter Poison, which is just annoying, but I ignore that. And the Crown of Inward Eye was super pricey early on, and now it did drop, so you will not be able to make a lot of money with just every Cyrus. You will have to rely on getting a lucky drop in Awaken Orb and Thread of Hope. Thread of Hope was, I think, about 1 in 3 Cyrus drops Thread of Hope, and I sold that for 1 to 2x. So again, pretty good profit from the Thread of Hope. And the next step is the Invitation. So the Invitation drops everything a Conqueror can drop. It rolls 4 times the Conqueror drop and says, okay, the Conqueror dropped this, this, and that. And then it has a small chance for Awakened Skill Gems of the lower tier, like Awakened Added Cold, Fire Lightning, Awakened Cold Fire Lightning Pen, Awakened Added Chaos, Awakened Burning Damage. Meaty Fist can drop from that. I think Brutality can only drop from Maven. So the simple Awakened Skill Gems can drop there. I think I got a few of those. 2 I got dropped overall, I would say. Well, they did add up. You can also get other Conqueror Guardian maps pretty consistently. You get like 1 to 2 maps and 1 to 3 fragments. So that does add up quite quickly. And you can then use Harvest if you find it to make the fragments into others, or sell them and buy other ones to get then additional Cyrus runs, which also will add up quickly if you get a few good drops. And lastly, every other one I got a Maven. A Maven gave me Awakened Skill Gems pretty much every time. The Orb of Conflict sadly did not drop, but I got 2 Legacy of Furies, which at that point sold for 1.5 and 2.5 Exalted Orbs. So those also added quite a good of fortune. So on day 2, I would say I made about 20 to 30 Exalted Orbs. On day 3, we made then 10 to 15 Exalted Orbs, and the other Exalted Orbs that added up to our 60x for the build. We got a bit from bulk selling and a bit from lucky drops that I've gotten on the way. I've also run Uber Elder, Shaper, the other invitations, the other Guardians, which also did add up, other Guardian maps. So all that added up for the last of the profit, which we needed to get the full Arakali Fang Build, which I will now show. Of course, it is a screenshot, you do not have to believe me, but if you can believe me, this is true. I've just, because my buddy was currently running simulacrums while I was going offline, I wasn't able to just yoink that quickly to show the items in-game. But this is our Maven thing. We have also gotten pretty much the clusters and the jewels needed for the build. And yeah, at this point we like at wave 25 to 28 stably and making good profit. Hopefully. I mean, today is a big profit day for that, so we will see. But that is again not this video about. So with this we have the potential drops, and my actual drops did add up quite well. I got an Awakened Cast on Crit, Awakened Burning damage, Legacy of Fury, Awakened Fork, Chaos damage, Minion damage, Swift Affliction, Deadly Ailments. I got so many Awakened skill gems from Maven, this was absolutely absurd. Now, I have to admit, if you would run this now, there are a lot of Awakened skill gems that are now supplied and not worth a whole lot anymore. Your profit would be getting, in this case you would need to run more. You wouldn't be just able to run one and definitely make profit because of insane drops, and not even insane drops, but you would need to run a few. You would make profit with Awakener Orbs, with Orb of Dominance, with Orb of Conflict maybe soon, with maybe a good rolled Legacy of Fury, good rolled Thread of Hope, or the Doppelganger Body Armor. You would need the bigger drops to make the profit, but I think you can get enough with Dementophobia, Justified Ambition, Conqueror's Exalted Orbs, Shape Influenced Item, which you also can do Exalt Recipe if nobody buys them, and the small gems you will be able to sustain them. You should make not a loss, but you will rely on the bigger drops to make bigger profit now, compared to how day 2 was. Now if this league goes on and Orb of Awakener Orb, Orb of Dominance, Dementophobia, Orb of Conflict, those drops that are 1 and 2, 1 and 3 will increase in price. You will make more profit with this again. Right now I would say wait a few days until you try this, and in like a half a week, this should again be a super profitable invitation to run, a super profitable invitation cycle to run. I can definitely recommend this. So that being said, this was what the video is about. I had a lot of fun running this. My build was pretty good for that. Was super enjoyable. I can really recommend invitation farming. Conquerors are a blast. They are hard. You need to get accustomed to how to do the invitation, but once you do, it's super fun running it, and it's super profitable if done correctly, either early or later on, once the profit margin increases again. That being said, have a wonderful day.